Hey everyone, welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Essentials. We're going to be diving into a very long chapter to get today, and this is chapter 16, Selling to the Cool Kids. And this is a very important chapter about selling culture, following chapter 15 about why every CEO should really learn how to sell and commit to that. So I'm going to dive right in. For this lesson from the Entrepreneur's Essentials, I'm going with recency bias again. This is a huge recruiting year for Data.World as we've found our product market fit in the enterprise. Data.World and our modern catalog for data and analysis is a new category of software, much like Bazaar Voice and Core Metrics created new categories before. And the brilliant book, Play Bigger, helped us find it. I linked to Play Bigger here on Medium. I discussed category creation with one of the co-authors of Play Bigger, Christopher Lockhead, in episode number 232 of Legends and Losers. I linked to this podcast here on Medium. If you would like to really delve into that, it is a very important topic. We just hired our first in-house recruiter, Lisa Novak, and she is leading our team in this regard. We built an amazing internal recruiting team at Bazaar Voice, and I'm sure Lisa will do the same here. And in fact, she did, now that I'm reading this to you 2 years later. Our team has really grown to include some incredible people. We are lucky to have her on board, and we've got a big hill to climb on that front. In Chapter 11, The Most Proven Way to Hire Well, I cover the most proven way to hire well. It isn't easy. As I've helped entrepreneurs find their own product market fit and connected them to potential clients, investors, and advisory board members, I spent a lot of time telling them about the cool kids. I've also, of course, been spending a lot of time talking about this with our rapidly growing sales team at Data.World. Cracking the code on product market fit is the only thing that matters, according to one of our largest and most helpful investors at Data.World, Pat Ryan. He has a series of this name, and you can see us discussing this topic on YouTube, and I link to that here on Medium. The rest of the entrepreneur interviews Pat does are very worthwhile listens also. So here we go with this lesson from the Entrepreneur's Essentials. It was first shared at Lucky7.io on January 16th and 23rd, 2013. I made very few edits to the original 2 posts I combined below, mostly in the area of readability and grammar, not in substance of content. This lesson is also covered in a terrific book on entrepreneurship, Naturally Caffeinated, also available on Amazon, and I link to that here on Medium. A question I often get asked by entrepreneurs is, how do I win my first clients? My answer to this isn't just how, but critically involves who. Allow me to explain, and let's start with who. Part 1. Who are the cool kids? First, you should deeply love the industry that you are trying to sell to, or at least deeply respect it. If you do that, you will naturally study it. As I mentioned in Chapter 11, The Most Proven Way to Hire Well, everything is romance in the beginning, until you actually begin marinating in the same industry conferences, newsletters, magazines, etc., that the leaders in your sales prospects attend and read. You won't know if you're passionate about that industry. If you aren't, then in my opinion, life is too short and you should move on to something that is worthwhile of your energy and will actually fuel it. A UT Austin McCombs article captured my philosophy well and also offers some insight into Bazaar Voice culture. Here's an excerpt from the McCombs article, which unfortunately is no longer online today, hence why I didn't include the link here. Quoting from the article, "If you're truly passionate about something, you will naturally read and obsess and study it," says Hurt, BBA, 1994. You'll spend time at the conferences that people go to about that topic. Read all the books about that topic. Read the magazine articles, the news articles about that topic. Go seek out the experts. Develop a personal board of advisors about that topic. Be unafraid in asking anybody for help about whatever it is you're passionate about. And another, quoting again from the article, don't just follow the script of school and exactly what you're going to learn in classes, Hurt says. There could be an aspiring young student at the University of Texas at Austin who says, I'm going to change the world in biotech, or I'm going to change the world in nanotech. And man, if they feel that way, then they better just start studying it like there's no tomorrow. And a beautiful thing happens. If you do that for year after year after year, then eventually the student becomes the teacher. When you do this, you will start to recognize there are certain people in the industry that are key influencers. These are the cool kids of that industry. They will serve on the boards and committees of the trade associations. They do this for two reasons. Number one, they want to be seen as the key innovators in their industry. This is good for their ego and ultimately their career. They get promoted or recruited in their next company much faster than the average person in their industry. By ego, I don't mean anything bad by that. All leaders have it, and it is a healthy thing, although the word gets used often in a negative context, as this great book, Egonomics, describes in detail, and I link to Egonomics here on Medium. Number two, they love their industry, and they have reached a point in their career where they, as the student, have become the teacher. This is validated by the fact that their peers have elected them to the boards and committees. There are also key influencers who do not serve on boards and committees, but they are usually frequently quoted in the press or they frequently speak at the industry events. In any case, you want to be associated with the cool kids. Everyone wants to be like them, and every industry has them. Let me pause here and explain my own background a bit because I think it will help make my points more clear. Digital retail spoke to my passion since I was a child. My parents were entrepreneurs from the time I was born, specifically in retail and direct marketing. I programmed since the time I was 7 years old, as I explained in my blog post on why named Lucky 7 in honor of my mother, and I link to that here on Medium. Essentially, most of my career has been about transforming retail into the digital age. 3 of the 5 companies, now 6 with Data.World, I've started have been in this vein. First, Body Matrix, which was my online retailer selling sports nutrition products. Second, Core Metrics, which was influenced by my experience at Body Matrix and brought the same analytics I had developed for my own needs to retailers all over the world. And third, Bazaar Voice, which was influenced by my experience at both Body Matrix and Core Metrics and brought the power of digital word of mouth to change the face of digital retailing forever. As digital retail was such a passion, I naturally studied it and became somewhat of an expert in it. This eventually earned me the recognition of my peers, resulting in me serving on the board of directors at Shop.org, the digital-focused subset of the National Retail Federation, which is the largest trade association of retailers. I was elected by my peers, mostly retailers, to the Shop.org board for 3 terms over 6 years. Just last night, I attended the Shop.org board dinner in New York City after NRF's big show as an emeritus member of the board. Like always, it was a great reminder of how much I love the industry and also who the key influencers are in it. The reason I tell you all of this is to make a point. In the digital retail industry, Shop.org is where the cool kids hang out. Sure, there are many other events, including e-tail and Internet Retailer, but Shop.org is where you go to learn and network. It is a nonprofit, unlike e-tail or internet retailer. Today, I hear that Shop Talk is the biggest e-commerce conference. And it is where the highest level people in digital retail go as a result. In every industry, people are looking to connect with their peers, to learn, and ultimately not to be completely bombarded by vendors while they are at their industry's events. As a nonprofit, Shop.org does the best job of this in digital retail. In every industry, there's a Shop.org of that industry, and you will need to marinate in it. If you're genuinely passionate about it, and then that will shine through, and you will ultimately, immediately be differentiated from the many salespeople that attend these events. At Shop.org yesterday, I was spending time with two companies I'm getting more involved with, both in the picks and shovels space of digital retail, with very compelling software solutions. One I've invested in personally, along with Mike Maples Jr. of Floodgate, Ralph Mack, Julie Maples of Firefly, and other prominent angel investors, and I've also agreed to be the CEO's primary mentor. The other I'm likely to invest in and also serve as the chairman of the board. I was having a discussion about initial clients with their respective CEOs. The key industry influences at Shop.org are serving on the board, on the committees, or speaking at the sessions, and I link to all of those here on Medium. These are the clients that they should most want to win. Everyone in that industry follows their moves, and they get their companies the best deals and services as a result. One of the most important entrepreneurial books I've read is Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore, and this is linked here on Medium. If you haven't read it yet, I couldn't recommend it more highly. In the book, Jeffrey describes the key segments of an industry that you're trying to win: the innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. I have lived this book, both at Core Metrics and Bazaar Voice, and the cool kids I describe above are almost always in the innovator and early adopter segments. Once you win them, and most importantly, do a great job of servicing them and making them successful with your solution, they will work hard to help you convince the early majority, late majority, and even laggards to become your clients. It is in their best interest to do so because of the two reasons I cite above about why they want to be known as the cool kids in the first place. So as you think about winning your first clients, think about who first. Opportunity cost is very real for any stage of company, but it is critical for an early stage one. The key to success with both Core Metrics and Bazaar Voice was winning over the key industry influencers first. Then we would write case studies about our success with them, do webinars with them, ask them to speak at our client summit, help them speak at industry events like Shop.org, especially when web analytics and online word of mouth were so new it was seen as the next hot thing. Help them win industry awards, and ask them to serve as references. They were critical to winning the rest of the market, which largely followed their moves. They helped us cross the chasm. Now I'll cover how you win over what I call the cool kids, the people that are the most respected in whatever industry you are trying to win. Part 2, how to sell to the cool kids. First, you need to realize that not everyone is a naturally born salesperson. It sure makes it easier if you're the type of CEO, if you are that type of CEO, because it makes it easier to identify people that can sell like you can. But this is rare. Steve Jobs was certainly one of the best examples. I highly recommend you read the book Selling the Wheel, which I link to here on Medium, to get familiar with the type of salespeople you need to hire at different stages of your company. This book is steeped in the knowledge of how to scale your sales team. written by people that constantly consult in this area. And thank you to Bijoy Goswami, founder of Bootstrap Austin, for the recommendation to read this book 8 years ago, actually make that 14 years ago now. And I can't even calculate reading this to you live how many years ago it was, but it was a while back. If you are just beginning, you need to hire someone like Cassius the Closer, who in the fable of the book invented different uses of the wheel for his clients. For example, the Egyptians struggling to build the pyramids, because the entrepreneur/inventor couldn't figure out how to sell their creation. This is very common. Salespeople are a unique breed of people, and I love them for it. They will bring you revenue, delight your clients. The right salespeople care about the ultimate revenue and value delivered, not just the sale, and ultimately increase the valuation of your company and your ability to create jobs and realize your entrepreneurial dreams. Respecting them deeply is a must. Second, on that point of respect, you need to create a sales-driven culture. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is another aspect of the mindset I described in Chapter 19, the 5 critical ingredients to build a big company. At Core Metrics, I built more of an engineering-driven culture. As the founder, that was more of my personality at the time, having grown up as a programmer. The engineer assumes that the product will sell itself, and this mindset couldn't be more wrong. Omniture, by contrast, built a sales-driven culture. Omniture turned into the market leader and blew past Core Metrics. Core Metrics had a good outcome by most entrepreneurial standards when it was acquired for nearly $300 million, but not nearly as good as Omniture's, which was acquired for $1.8 billion by Adobe. There is a huge difference between number 1 and number 2 in a new category. I wasn't about to make the same mistake at Bazaar Voice, and I'm proud to say that Michael Osborne, our first VP of sales, and I worked hard to create a sales-driven culture. Brent Barden, my co-founder, also played a major role, as did Sam Decker, our founding CMO. It helped that me, Michael, and Brent had all come from Core Metrics and learned that lesson, and it helped that Sam Decker was also a natural-born salesperson. So how do you create a sales-driven culture? First, you hire truly passionate and convincing salespeople. I described how to do that in my chapter on recruiting, which is the most important thing you can focus on to build a great culture. And then second, you emphasize the importance of selling across the company. Sales is an incredibly difficult job where you're constantly facing rejection and you're ultimately winning the revenue that allows all of the other functions in the company to get funded. So sales deserves the ultimate respect. You create traditions where you celebrate new client wins. At Bazaar Voice, we celebrated new client wins with our gong, where we'd all gather around and discuss the win. This tradition extended to our clients when we sent them mini gongs, and they celebrated the win with us over the phone or sometimes in person. The bond this created between Bazaar Voice and our clients was truly unique. Another way to emphasize the importance of selling is to recognize the heroes, the largest quota winners at events such as an annual sales club or quarterly offsite. When Bazaar Voice was smaller, we had these offsites every quarter at the Alamo Drafthouse, where everyone could let down their hair versus the stuffiness of a typical corporate venue. When the sales team beat a major stretch goal, they all dressed up as Elvis and stormed into the Alamo Drafthouse, surprising us all to celebrate their big trip to Vegas. Here's a photo of Michael Osborne that I'll never forget from that day. The energy was electric. It was a bonding moment for Bazaar Voice, almost like no other. And I showed the photo here on Medium in the book. Yet another way to emphasize sales across the company is to create a mythology around it. For us, this was the color green and our Sell Strong bands. On the final days of the quarter, everyone at Bazaar Voice dressed in green to emphasize company unity, that we were all in this together and we would win as a team. Sell Strong deserves another chapter or post, and I'll write that later. It helped define our culture and is worthy of writing about how it evolved. Third, you need a really great demo. When you start your company, you have no credibility other than your background. Some backgrounds are better than others. When I started Coremetrics, I was relatively unknown, even though I had started 3 small companies prior. When I started Bazaar Voice, I had a reputation due to my success with Coremetrics and also my status as a member of the Shop.org board of directors. So at Coremetrics, it was imperative to focus on creating an amazing demo. Coremetrics invented the enterprise scale web beacon or data tags data collection for web analytics. Prior to Coremetrics, enterprise solutions like Accrue or NetGenesis used log files or network packet sniffers, and these enterprise software solutions were both inaccurate and required a massive investment of implementation time, often as much as 12 to 18 months. To make the point about how different the Coremetrics approach was, as one of the first software as a service companies back in 1999, I would show a demo of my own e-commerce site, Body Matrix, and have someone click around looking at different products and putting some in their shopping cart. I was then able to show the client a real-time view of their data and essentially replay the actions they just took. I would then explain how I could collect this data from tens of thousands of individuals, all in real time, and build a lifetime profile of all of their customers' interactions. That lifetime profile would allow you to track the behavior of customers across many sessions, and ultimately the data could be used to later personalize email campaigns and on-site campaigns, among other things. This demo blew people away, and it was revolutionary for the industry at that point in time. I'm now working with 2 companies that have revolutionary demos like this, and you should see their prospects' reactions to it. Later on, your credibility comes from the fact that you won the cool kids in the space and they're raving about the impact that you are having on their business. But at the beginning, it is all about the demo. So invest in it and make it sizzle. Fourth, build a great board of advisors of people from that industry. You can give your advisors anywhere from 0.5%, 0.05% to 0.25% of equity in your company, depending on who they are, and then turn them into an action network to win your initial clients or enter a new market vertical. I wrote about how to create that action network in Chapter 13, How to Leverage Advisors and Investors as Your Extended Team. It is easier to do this than it may sound. The entrepreneurial spirit is very much alive in our country. Our founding fathers had it in 1776, and we're used to helping each other achieve our dreams as we're a country of mostly self-made entrepreneurs. And these advisors will not only help you with introductions to potential clients, they can be valuable at helping you shape your solution. With your initial clients and advisors, you need to carefully listen to their recommendations. At Coremetrics, our demo blew people away because we actually listened to what their needs were. We built a solution that they wanted. But importantly, we applied our own lens to not go down rat holes and create one-off functionality. We focused on the needs they had that the majority of the market shared. I followed this same formula throughout Bazaar Voice's history too. So there you have it, both who to win and how to win them. At the holiday party a few months ago, the Bazaar Voice team was kind enough to give me this gong, signed by all of them and proudly on display at our home. This represents years of selling strong together, creating a company that quickly had $1 billion outcome in its IPO and changing the world in the process. And I show the photo here on Medium. So that is the end of this lesson as I wrote it years ago on lucky7.io. You can see the original post there and the comments thread below them, and I link to those here on Medium. How did my co-founders and I apply this lesson at data.world? Well, as you may guess, very well, but product market fit has taken longer to find in this new category. We began data.world with the premise to be the world's largest collaborative data community, and we've actually achieved that now, growing our community faster than GitHub did in their first 2 years of being live. We wanted our community to guide us into product market fit, and since our beginning, we have been obsessive about community member interviews to observe how they use data.world in their own work. It worked, and we recently won one of the largest financial services companies in the world due to them starting out on our community and then realizing that we could help their firm. Finding what to name our category for enterprise sales, the modern catalog for data and analysis, was ultimately what we chose, took some time, and a lot of board of directors discussion. Jason Pressman of Shasta Ventures has been especially masterful in this capacity, and market research, especially with Gartner and Forrester. Reading the book Play Bigger also played a major role. On the sales culture front, we are well on our way there with Ryan Cush at the helm as our Chief Revenue Officer. Ryan was exceptional at Bazaarvoice, and we're lucky to work with him here at data.world. He was both an individual contributor and leader over the years at Bazaarvoice, both in sales and client services, a rare combination. As an individual sales contributor, he made the 300 Club at Bazaarvoice 3 times, meaning he hit 300% of his quota in a single quarter, an exceptionally hard feat. I found that the best leaders are those that have actually played the role incredibly well themselves. This will be a very exciting year of recruiting as we at least triple the size of data.world's sales team. I would really love to hear from you, and I'm sure others reading this would as well. How have you shaped your sales culture, and how did you identify your first clients to create that market spark?